Hello and welcome to Codecast, the podcast that aims to give you a glimpse into the world of code coding schools. Join us for interviews with school alumni, current students, industry visionaries and other fascinating guests. I'm your host, Priit Koff. Enjoy! In this Codecast episode, we talk to Priit Kaasik from Katana about his fascinating journey from developing the first e-government system in Estonia to leading change management at Playtech and Skype, and hear about his thoughts on artificial intelligence and the need for junior developers in the industry. We also chat with Kood alumnus Anton Urban about his experiences and what prompted him to design a new t-shirt for Kood coding schools. And as our last guest, we have Herman Õunapuu, who recently joined Kood Coding Schools as a senior product engineer. Enjoy! Good morning and welcome to the studio. It gives me great pleasure this morning to welcome here another Priit. So it's almost like an omen that our names have a significant meaning in this context that involves the word IT and also involves the word PR. So hence I think it's suitable for us to be talking about IT in the formats of public relations in a way. So Priit, you are from Katana. Could you tell us a few words about yourself, please?
I'm absolutely delighted to be here. I'm Priit, and this
not related.
Priit meeting Priit reminds me of the story. It is a Skype story that there used to be 6 Priits working at Skype, and sometimes when you had a excursion with a bus or a plane or something, then all the Priits were put to sit in the same row. We thought that maybe we could form a first name basis team, but it never materialized.
How sad is that? But so you already mentioned that you used to work for Skype, but what else have you done? So how did you end up at Skype and what did you do there?
Yeah, I don't have an IT background. I studied mathematical statistics, and around year 2000 there was a announcement being made. Well, informatics was my secondary curriculum. Yeah, so I'm not totally unfamiliar with IT in terms of education. And there was an announcement that there will be a call for programmers to write Estonian e-government, the first version by Microlink Systems.
This was way back in the last century.
2000.
Oh, 2000. Well, still close.
Yeah. And so I had to learn PHP very quickly in order to participate in the interviewing phase, and I got elected to work on it. So I was one of the, I don't remember, 3 programmers who wrote the first version. So this is where I got started suddenly. It was just, an opportunity. This is how I can describe my life, that I'm usually just lying beside the river, and the river brings you opportunities, and sometimes you grab them if you think that they are worthy, and then you have to do something like learn PHP or whatnot in order to do that.
So you're a self-starter?
Yeah, I can say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you end up at Skype?
Well, this leads me to the next phase from Microlink to Playtech. I was like a 50th employer. It was even smaller maybe. And then when I left Playtech at 2009, then was 1,500 people there. So this was my first big ride, and the stock options and all the shenanigans. And I also turned from a contributor or this coder into to more like entrepreneurial or managerial, because I think at 2007 I got this idea that maybe I'm becoming also, maybe I should found a company as well, type of thing. But then I understood that it is good to surf along with good companies in order to learn, because it was much better than studying in university. You know that when you graduate, then most of companies have like academy type of training facilities to turn newly graduated person into a useful contributor, and it takes like 6 months or so. So yeah, so from that I think the key thing in Playtech was that I was involved in building automation systems, or I was a release and deployment manager there, and Playtech had 32 data centers across the globe with like more than 5 million customers back there. customers of customers, because the casino operators were Playtech's customers, and then casinos also had customers. And usually my work involved downtimes and all these kind of cool, unpopular new changes which had bugs in them. And this is where a simple Estonian guy was turned into this different type of person in Israeli business culture, where if you don't speak up, you will never get the turn to speak type of thing. And he does change me to slightly different person, and also maybe sometimes very impolite. I tend to interrupt other people because I just, when I want to say something, I say something.
That's very good.
Trying to get it under control to not offend people because of the cultural background. Sometimes people are like waiting for their turn. So I try to do now more and more. Okay, so where were I? Okay, yeah. Thanks to this process, because most Estonians are related to each other to some degree, not by first name, but to some degree. Then the word got out that there is an Estonian who does this kind of thing in Estonia, that works for an international company and does a humongous scale software deployments across the globe. And Skype was growing to that level that they were peer-to-peer company, but they had to embrace server technology eventually to do stuff that works better on server. And I understand that this skill of mine or this experience was important to them. So they approached me, drove over to Tartu and made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So 2009, I moved to Tallinn. 2010, Silver Lake acquired Skype. Then 2011, Microsoft acquired Skype from Silver Lake. And then my specialty actually was back then organizational changes. Skype did a transformation from project-based to product-based and agile as well, agile software development. And I found myself to be this, instead of like an engineering guy, I was a flux and transformation guy. I just in engineering organization, like building teams, putting new processes in place, new technologies, then kind of, accelerating the delivery and coding practices, improvement, quality improvements, these kind of programs. So I realized that this is what makes me tick much more intensively than the just writing code or managing people.
Okay. So that places you in a good position to actually evaluate people on the basis of their skills and natural characteristics as well.
Yeah, and this was Katana. I'm jumping ahead now. That in the beginning of this year, when we realized that Mr. Trump has changed the world order in terms of we are in Katana, we are a very US-centric company. And our customers usually have a supply chain in dependencies with Canada, Mexico, China, all the favorite tariff countries used to be. And so our customer base got hit. They didn't want to spend on IT, which we are a tool for them, the commerce inventory management, the commerce related with physical products. Okay. This is like ERP kind of experience we're offering them. And they just stopped spending. So growth went from 100% annual to 0. And we were running out of money. Would have, like this September, we burned 1 million per month. Yeah. And nobody wants to give you more money when you burn 1 million per month. You have a huge engineering team and you don't have 0 growth. It's a pretty hard sell, yeah. So this is where I had to go back to this experience like a time machine into year 2012, which was the last big change I did when I worked at Microsoft, which was the Skype merger with Lync. Like the mosquito's head was put on in front of the elephant type of surgery, and that we were tiny and the Lync was big, office communicator. Like we were 500 people strong engineering team, and then there was like 3,500. The merger was interesting. So this kind of thing, it wasn't, the scale wasn't the same, but it was as exciting as it was in the spring when we had to turn our tables to go from more like traditional company who more like investigated what the AI could field into flat out AI first type of the AI natives, try to transform from this probing to actually using it for everything.
Okay, and how has that worked?
And then this kind of sparked those memories that I actually enjoy this much more than, day-to-day management. I like this flux and mayhem and the transformation.
So what's your role at Katana right now?
I'm a CTO and a co-founder. Yeah.
Okay. So that places you very high up in the food chain.
Yeah, that is true.
It's good to have someone very high up on the food chain on this podcast as well. So since most of our listeners are actually students at Cord coding schools and both alumni and also people who are thinking about joining Cord coding schools, then you're probably best placed to give them any sorts of advice on what to look forward to or how to develop themselves. Or what kind of skills do junior developers or people interested in coding really actually need these days?
Yeah, it has changed even from spring to this day because the situation is very volatile and nobody with full certainty can tell what the future will hold in terms of engineering jobs. It is related to engineering jobs mostly, yeah. Okay. Then initially everybody was telling that this vibe coding or conversational development where you can basically pair up with AI type of coding, that this will amplify or augment the senior programmers the most and basically leaves no room for juniors to do anything, basically. That there will be a huge moat is their favorite word, skill moat, that how do you kind of, if you don't write code manually, how do you learn this? And now I have a different opinion because it has evolved. The vibe coding has evolved into agentic development, and agentic is like from single agent to multi-agent development, meaning that you have to, in order to accelerate, you have to withdraw as a human from the process. And then it gives you like different perspective into this flow, that you are an operator of a coding machine. So for that, it is much more vital that the person actually knows how to work with AI. It is much more vital to know this better than coding itself, because you can use AI as a lens into coding and ask it, like, what am I looking at? And explain it to me what I'm looking at. And it's very good at explaining it.
But in order to actually operate that machine, you still need to have some sort of experience, or you need to understand the logic first.
Yeah, theoretical informatics is much more important than it used to be. So it is not good news for code as such, because code is more like a practical implementation kind of skills, but I would call it formalizing. And this will go away, formalization, because you have to go to this system thinking, architecture, system design. These kind of disciplines are becoming more important in order to understand that there is a case or use case, user story, task to a problem to be solved, and you have to just be able to divide it into subsets abstractly in your head in order how do you build it, from which pieces, which technologies are. And I'm not sure that senior developers are actually needed. I have met a lot of senior developers who are really weak at this modeling, abstract thinking, system thinking, architecture patterns. They are excelling at very simple implementation at great finesse, meaning that they know algorithms and so, but these algorithms are part of the, formalization nowadays. So this finesse is not that important.
Okay. Yeah. I think I recall from somewhere your quote or one of your statements that actually junior developers have an advantage over senior developers when it comes to using these brand new technologies and adapting to them.
Yeah.
They can start from a clean slate.
Yeah, usually when a senior person says that AI produces spaghetti code, then it usually doesn't tell anything about the code, but it tells me that this person is not familiar with working with AI. This is the only thing this certain from this sentence. And it also means that this person doesn't understand how to make AI to write good quality code, and this person also doesn't understand that it doesn't take the human to decide whether the code is good quality or not. Yeah. So it is, it is like outdated understanding of the situation, because everywhere you put human in, it slows down. That is the issue with this. That if you want to accelerate, you have to figure out all the ways how to remove human from the pipeline, so that you have an idea and you have a working solution. And then you can validate the solution. and that it doesn't require you to know any code in order to say that these are the specifications. This is how it works. Is that what it should be supposed to be doing? If the answer is yes, why do you need to understand coding?
Okay. But let's go back to your position as CTO at Katana then. Are you also in a role where you actually get to recruit people, or is that left to your HR department or someone else?
Not so actively in terms of engineering itself, but I'm involved in job descriptions and the criteria, and I'm one of the key contributors to the culture, and culture is actually the one that defines what type of people we want to hire in terms of what we value as a company and when they join. So this has been shifting as well, that you are not a developer yourself, you are an AI mechanic. This is what we hire, and you are a builder of systems that build software, grow software.
Okay.
It is not built, it's grown.
So I have a two-part question now. That first of all, what are the skills and qualities you look for in a person when you want them to join your engineering team? And another thing, is our education system actually well equipped enough to provide you with such talent?
The good cognitive abilities and the experience with understanding how AI works, these are the key skills in order to do this, because this brings me to the second part of the question immediately, because I may get in trouble. I have lots of friends working in universities, and I think universities are exceptionally bad at this. You know that what they do to their own people, they have deals with providers like Microsoft, and Microsoft has this Copilot, and they just tell people to use it. They don't do any training to their own staff, like the lecturers and the workers at the university. They are encouraged to use it, but they have no idea how to use it. And this is super worrisome when I think of this, that when I ask, for example, that somebody who tries to talk to me about AI, I asked that how many different personas have you defined for yourself to work with AI? And if they don't understand what I'm asking, then I don't think they actually have had any education in this matter. The question is, where do you get this? How do you get this when even universities don't know how to provide it to their own people, the people who should teach other people to use it?
Do you think this AI Leap initiative that has now been set up in Estonia will help you in this way in the long term? Or is it a similar situation where we haven't really provided?
I'm part of it. I was invited to consult, give ideas, or maybe I was just invited to give some money, and I'm not sure why. But the idea there is that they want to provide models for schools which are not just giving out answers, but are encouraging people to pursue this why and kind of this step-by-step kind of learning process. But it is truly interesting that whether the teachers themselves actually know how to use, for example, these tools like ChatGPT app and Claude AI app, and these kind of installable or browser run stuff that allow you to do project management, these gems or GPTs, how to build them, what uses for them, how do you instruct them, how do you prime them, how do you put them into a certain role, because AI needs guidance in order to excel, to become an expert in a subject matter. It is not a general, like if you say that what is the meaning of life, then you copy paste it to LinkedIn and make fun of it and saying that look at this silly stuff, that this is not really like kind of how it should go. Like, the question is, have the people been taught how to actually get useful stuff out of it, and how to recognize that what did you do wrong, because the hallucination is actually indication that you didn't get it right. It is not that it doesn't know. It means that you are not able to ask it in the right way, or you haven't instructed it in properly.
Okay. Well, that's really fascinating stuff, but there's one question that I have asked from pretty much all of my guests so far, which is, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? I think in this instance we can skip that part of the question, but let's ask, where do you see the industry in 5 years' time? I mean, there's so much going on. Which is the direction that we're taking now?
Yeah, it's super worrisome for myself. I mean, that I was thinking that what type of person I am. I'm thinking that in 5 years' time, there will be a substantial change in terms of whether you can found another company in a traditional manner, meaning that I think that there will be just like future companies like a social community. You should have 2 or 3 founders, but the founders are not related to whatever the expectation is in like traditional manner that, for example, you had a tech guy, business guy, and I don't know, operations guy coming together to cover all the bases of the new company type of thing. Katana is founded like that. Me, Christian, and Hannes. But in the future, you just need them to just remain human because you need to interact with people and talk about the ideas and just bounce the stuff. You could do this with AI as well, but I don't think it's healthy.
No.
Basically, there is this joke about these new billion-dollar companies are the man, dog, and the human AI and the dog type of combination, that you don't need anything else in order to build a billion-dollar company. So the question is that if software is not built and it's generated, grown, and there is no need to fundraise anymore because you can just bootstrap. It is very cheap to build a company with very limited resources. It's like, how much is this current situation remaining? Because people like me only try for this moat, because there are people who cross the moat and then the people who are unable. This is like, it was called the digital divide. Yes. Now it is, next divide is AI divide. So I see myself as a person who is like a boatman who goes like, another tries to get some people over the moat, and then I think that this is my job in the future, in 5 years' time. And then there are people, like I said, there are also companies who are still not comfortable with cloud. I don't care about them anymore because this cloud issue, they should have sorted it out like 5 years ago. And when in 5 years, there are still people who say that, I don't know about AI, then I just leave them be. This is like, just some people want to stay behind.
That's really interesting stuff. And thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for it today. But I look forward to welcoming you back here another time. And I wish you the very best in your endeavors as a boatman in the future, crossing the great moat. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Hello and welcome to the studio, Anton. So tell us a few words about yourself.
Right. Hi. Glad to be here. First of all, I'm currently working as a security engineer in Luminor. Let's say my way into code began with getting bored at my previous job.
Which was?
I was an HVAC specialist, which is...
heating, ventilation, air conditioning.
Yeah, exactly. I was mainly working with air conditioning units, some other that sort of work also. But yeah, did that for about 2.5 years. Midway through, my friend suggested to look into code. And the premise itself seemed quite interesting. The whole paradigm of not having any classes or teachers even, and I knew from quite an early age that a regular kind of traditional university wouldn't really be my kind of cup of tea, perhaps. Decided to enroll, try it out. The first impressions, specifically the sprint itself, was quite, let's say, perhaps even a bit scary, because I was quite relying on my previous successes with learning general like languages, which I considered myself to be quite good at. That didn't turn out to be the case for programming, unfortunately. And but I guess I got through it. I got accepted, and then initially I was studying on site at UFI, Then life took its course. Had quite a bit of time away from school, at least physically. It's definitely a bit more difficult to keep up to speed with your studies and projects while being away. And then eventually I decided to come back. All the while I was working in my previous job. And yeah, decided to give it another go. All up until our specialization. In that time, I kind of started to understand that programming might not be my kind of thing, but it was good that I was suggested to take a look into cloud technologies. I acquired my AWS certificate midway through my studies. That gave me. I was always looking for a bigger picture of systems and things, and I didn't really quite understand how the big picture works, just only programming. But that cloud and that infrastructure part kind of resonated better with me. Then from there the decision was to take the DevOps specialization, which ultimately got my current job. Well, actually, the first internship in Luminar as a cybersecurity intern. I give the respects for that solely on the DevOps specialization itself. And yeah, after being an intern for half a year, I was promoted to a security engineer, where I've been now for since the mid of last summer, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does a security engineer actually do? Because when you give me the title of security engineer, I immediately think of Mission Impossible and Star Trek and Simon Pegg playing Benji or whatever the other guy's name is.
It's actually the term itself, or the title itself, differs from company to company, really. I'd say I have a lot of DevOps aspects to my job still. Still managing and configuring infrastructure, making documentation on that. And generally just keeping in mind the security part in doing all of that. So specifically, I'm currently involved with PKI, which stands for Public Key Infrastructure. That's the part of where you see in the browser, which whatever you access, it says HTTPS. So I'm responsible for the S part of it.
Okay.
So that governs the certificates, both internal and external in the company that the company employs, and all the processes with that and the management and so on and so forth. So
okay, so what kind of skills from your days at kood.tech have you brought with you to your current job and that you utilize on a day-to-day basis?
Actually, the most important and most crucial part that kood.tech gave me was not, in fact, technical. It was actually, I'd say, the soft skills, the mindset to get through with whatever you're given, whether it's enough or not enough. You still kind of set your mind to something and then do whatever needs doing and then get the problem solved. And that's the problem-solving mindset was something that I still very heavily rely on until today. So yeah.
Anything else that you can list as a great accomplishment or a personal development achievement from your days at kood.tech?
Personal achievement. I was quite proud of my AWS certificate. It was quite difficult in the first place because I did it again using that same mindset. I did it without any prior knowledge of any kind of infrastructure, nothing. I think that's one of my biggest achievements from my time of studies, definitely. I also, I guess, at the in the last days of my studies, I also put together a pretty good personal website as well, I'd say. Think that's these would be pretty good.
Okay, that's highly commendable. There's no question about that. But do you actually use artificial intelligence as a day-to-day tool in your work today?
Mm-hmm. Not as much as I would like to, or perhaps even should use it. But I still definitely, AI is pretty good in creating templates for or brainstorming or looking for alternative solutions, and that on that I rely pretty heavily with AI on. But yeah, in technical respects, I mean, especially in cybersecurity and since infrastructure, one thing is coding, which kind of also helps with you with templates and creating some kind of base for your code. For infrastructure, I mean, it employs quite a lot of it, like in different tools, and it's often not that easy to make these differently kind of generated parts to work together. But yeah, I mainly use AI for it's really good for documentation, definitely, and then defining processes and policies and so on and so forth. But even though I do not employ it currently, I am quite interested in educating myself in that respect, specifically in pen testing, perhaps. So there's a course in Hack the Box, whoever's heard of it, called AI Red Teaming, which has piqued my interest lately, and I think studying AI from the perspective of specifically cybersecurity or pen testing would be something perhaps that would be more kind of resonating to me. So
okay. On that note, do you still keep in touch with your schoolmates from Kold as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
It's just that my question is leading to this aspect of coding schools being built on peer-to-peer learning. Do you still rely on that methodology in your daily life today as well, that you feel that you work better with a team where you can share things rather than actually having a strict structure of having a boss-subordinate kind of relationship, or instead relying on a team to really learn from each other and learn from each other's mistakes as well?
It definitely helps to keep the ball rolling, as you say, with your general kind of work ethic. If you work with others, it's definitely more difficult to keep track of things and keep track of your progress, kind of alone or individually. But yeah, I'd say I do still. I mean, working in a big company itself already kind of expects that you communicate with your teammates and set common goals for the company itself. So definitely, yeah.
So what kind of recommendations would you have for someone who's now currently studying at any of the coding schools, or someone who's thinking of joining the world of computer programming? Given what you just said about developing your soft skills and making sure that you're part of a team rather than sitting in a corner and writing code all by yourself.
Yeah. So coming back to the fact that I felt like it might not be for me. So I guess my primary kind of word of advice would be to stick to it until you completely finish the program, because you might find some aspect of IT that's not initially visible to you, and definitely look for, at least take a look at every single kind of domain that IT kind of involves. So may that be DevOps, cybersecurity, of course, software development, and mobile, and so on and so forth. So I'd say that there's IT is quite a wide kind of area of expertise. Even design people can find something to, for example, UI UX designers and so on and so forth. So there's definitely something to find for everyone.
You just mentioned design, and I understand this is also a bit of a forte with you, that you are quite talented as a designer as well, and you decided to profess your love for Kood Coding Schools by creating and designing a new T-shirt for the school. How did this come around?
Yeah, so my kind of...
And we actually have the T-shirting question right here as well. I think you're wearing one, and show this to the camera. So I think you can tell us all about what's going on here and how did you actually come up with the idea?
Yeah, so the first fact was the first kind of initial thought that I had. I wanted to make it interactive in some way. So I started with a QR code itself, which is visible at the bottom of the tree trunk. At first I had a kind of different design for that. I wanted to start with the QR code because it's kind of a play on words for code itself, right? So it seemed like a good idea. So in total, I had 2 eureka moments, as you call them. So the first one was the QR code, and then I had a kind of a brighter idea that the previous platform that I studied on in God, the paradigm revolved around the premise of like a gamified approach to studying, so experience points and then skill trees, and then I had a sudden thought that maybe a literal tech tree would be quite suiting for that purpose. So yeah, and the philosophy behind the design itself is quite simple, I'd say. So the tree itself represents the entire kind of process of going through the school. So the roots of the tree kind of resemble the people coming from different respects of life. Everyone has a different background who joins God, on the most part. Then they join for a common journey around through the school system. That would represent the trunk, I guess. And then finally they branch out into different specializations that the school offers, and ultimately then also different respects of work. And yeah, that's the general gist behind it.
And then you have the occasional acorn or apple dropping from the tree as well.
Yeah, I guess that could be understood as kind of the tree bearing fruits, so to say. So successful engineers and entrepreneurs perhaps graduating from the school.
Well, that's fantastic, because I've always been fascinated by, first of all, great design, and also whenever there's a good story behind it as well, that makes it extra special. So well done on that one. But what prompted you to do that in the first place? Now, was there a need? Did somebody mention this to you, or did this just come out of necessity?
Mm-hmm. So I have a general kind of habit of getting myself into a situation before I even think about it thoroughly. I've picked up quite a few hobbies with that habit. The first one being paragliding, believe it or not. It's always somehow tied to getting over either a fear or just learning something new. So for paragliding, I wanted to get over my fear of heights. Picked up, I guess when I was younger, I also used to draw, so I had some kind of experience under my belt already. But the design itself also employed the style itself is taken from something I used to use when I was younger as well. I used to draw things like just regular things that would kind of fade out into either geometric shapes or polygons, so to say. And yeah, the idea itself, once I saw it in the community hub in Discord, kind of piqued my interest. There wasn't anything like that before, and also the designing something that others would like was, I kind of took it as a challenge as well. I wanted to put myself to the test whether I can create something that others would like to wear, not only in school, but I also kept in mind that I would like to create something that people would be willing to wear outside of school as well. And definitely wanted to keep the theme of it being kind of techy and then made as school merchandise. Meanwhile, also I guess giving it a kind of street vibe as well. So yeah,
that's cool. So you've designed a T-shirt. You're looking after the S in HTTPS. But where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
In 5 years' time, I'd like to think I'd actually want to continue with my designing, my desired design as well. This kind of endeavor was already something I wanted to do for some time. Might even consider it a kind of a dream come true. So yeah, definitely something design-wise, probably with clothes, but not only. Perhaps also something on the technology side. So either branding or just general design for other companies, and also developing my cybersecurity skills further as well. So eventually, hopefully, having something of my own completely. So
you will eventually be a true 21st century Renaissance man, capable of doing everything from design to cybersecurity and everything in between.
Yeah, that's my general problem with not being able to choose one thing I have to do.
I think that's the future, that you can't have specialization anymore. You need to have general knowledge and general coverage of all different aspects of life. So, but thank you very much for coming here to share your story with us this morning. It's been great to have you here, and I look forward to seeing you another time, and I wish you nothing but the very best with your endeavors. Thank you.
All right. Thank you as well.
Hello and welcome, Herman. You, as I understand, are a senior program developer.
Senior product engineer.
Sorry, you're a senior product engineer. I'm sorry, I get confused with all these job titles, and this just goes on to prove how complex this world actually is. But you actually work for kood.tech coding schools and holding the position of senior product engineer.
Yes.
Thank you. I got that correct this time around. So tell us about yourself. How did you end up here at kood.tech?
I'm Herman, and I have a very classical background. So unlike a lot of people associated with the school, I did the whole high school, university, job thing. And I have been working in various like software developer type roles for over 9 years at this point. And at my previous job at Concise, I was in small teams, big teams, product team, and more of a platform team, keeping things alive. And then during that adventure, I realized pretty quickly that I like working on specific products, thinking alongside with what do we want to build next, what do we want to fix for our users, and had some very positive influences during that time, like with Aive Uus, who was the CEO in Concise at some point, and also my gateway into this team, this product. So stars aligned in just right way, and an opportunity came up, and then I decided like, yeah, I like this. I like building products. I like having like this sense of being like fulfilled or working on something that's impactful, useful, having a real meaningful change, interacting with our stakeholders, which in this case is like schools and students. And yeah, in my previous role, I was kind of far from all of those people, and I really missed that. So that's basically a really abridged version of how I ended up here.
Okay. So you ended up here just fairly recently.
Yeah, it's a bit over 2 months at this point, but it feels like I've done during that time more than I did previously in a year. So it's been very, very intense, very many new experiences, and quite a few achievements as well during that time.
That's cool. But what is it that you actually do? What's your day-to-day job?
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, when I say like this senior product engineer title, it sounds very fancy.
Yes.
But in my view, it's like relatively simple. I'm just a software engineer that also thinks about the product a lot. So it's like combining these two worlds.
But when we talk about products in the context of kood.tech, then what's the product?
Well, the product, like the end product, is students who can actually go and get jobs in tech, but the way they get there is through our learning platform. So I'm specifically in this team that manages the learning platform. And for us, the experience that the students have and the school operators, it's like those are the most important ones for us. So we're trying to make sure that alongside, I mean, in the product organization, we also have the curriculum team. They manage all the content, make sure that it's relevant, up to date, interesting for the students. And we help them get it on the platform. We make sure the platform stays alive, very secure, very, very healthy. And yeah, we just hope that students like working on the platform and can get that knowledge and those experiences. And yeah, we're basically trying to support their whole journey and support the school operators so that they can provide those good experiences to the students as well.
So it's actually your role to write the code that becomes the learning platform for kood.tech.
Well, writing code is surprisingly, I wouldn't say maybe a small part, but it's like, we try to build new features, fix existing ones, look at all the bugs that the students have found. There are quite a few of them, but that means that we have very good students who are able to find those bugs. School operators are also like very, they find lots of areas for improvement as well, but I think that's a good thing. We try to keep on track with those and also try to think of the big picture, like how can we make the students' experience even better, or the school operators, like, are they doing too much manual work, for example? Can we help them reduce it? So we're trying to also, like, not only, we don't want to only write code, we also want to make sure that our stakeholders, like, can use the platform to make their job easier.
So it sounds like a very cost-effective way how to make sure that your students have something to do and at the same time your platform is running correctly as well. So you can utilize the skills of your students to fix whatever issues they may be, correct?
I mean, it's with many production systems, it's the end users that are the best testers in a lot of scenarios. When I went to Jõhvi at one point to observe the selection sprint that was ongoing, I noticed I was just there to observe how are the sprinters interacting with the system. And I found some very interesting things. Like one sprinter demonstrated like, hey, if I take this, run these automated test button, if they hit it hard enough, like too many times, they get logged out. I was completely surprised by that. I haven't gotten around to fixing it yet, but it's in my notes. At some point, I'd really like to look into it. It's things that you usually just don't think about. Like, why would you do that? But when the system is slow or there's some issue, students just click that. I mean, it's a relatively natural reaction, I would say.
Indeed. Okay, so you've been doing this for 2 months now, and you already probably have some ideas about the future of where this learning platform will develop, in which direction. Anything that you can share with us?
Well, we have a lot of different ideas on what we'd like to fix, on the technical level, making some architectural improvements so that the students, automated test code, for example, runs even faster. And we also have a lot of things that we'd like to improve for the school operators, but on a very high level, we'd like to put more focus on the students' experience and making sure that they can get everything from the platform that will help them enter the job market. So it's a very tricky area. It's we haven't made any concrete plans yet, but it's on our I would say roadmap to tackle that area. So it would be a bigger focus, not something that we will start working on tomorrow. We have to fix some obligations before that, but that's one of the ideas that, or overarching themes that we have that we'd like to focus on, because we can have all the fun with the platform that we want, write some cool new features, but if they don't help the students succeed after finishing the school, then what's this all about?
Exactly. So you gather that feedback not just from the coding school in Jõhvi, but also from the other new schools that are popping up as well. There's one in Finland apparently as well, I understand. So do you get feedback from them as well? Are there some similarities? Are there any differences between what people are noticing and suggestions that they make in order to improve the platform?
I haven't personally taken too much time right now to gather that feedback too much. I mean that's just we have this day-to-day reality of a lot of different things going on, new projects like high schools and stuff, and onboarding new schools. So that's taking up a lot of our focus. But it's definitely an area that gathering more feedback. I personally would like to do it when I know that I also have the capacity to really execute on that and execute on it well. So, but yeah. It is something that we definitely want to do, because if we don't speak with our most important stakeholders, school operators and students, then we won't end up with a good product.
Of course, absolutely. So you've done your classical training in IT, and you've probably seen a lot of stuff happening in the last few years when it comes to this world and how it develops and evolves constantly. So now we've been talking about artificial intelligence throughout all of these different podcasts. Then what's your take on that? Do you use AI in your day-to-day work? Where do you see that going forward?
The short answer is, yeah, I use it pretty much every day. But right from the get-go, when this latest boom in AI started, it was 2022, 2023. First I was a little bit skeptical, because it might have been because the technology was a bit raw. All the media was about okay, we have this really cool tool. It can help you write your essays for you, but it also makes a lot of mistakes. So I was a little bit skeptical at first, and personally I really like computers and computing solutions that don't use a lot of power. And all these new AI tools, they tend to use a lot of power. Indeed. They're building whole new data centers and power plants for it. Yep. So that put me off initially. But and also in my previous role, I didn't really see how those tools can help make my day-to-day life easier. But that I understand might also have been related to the specifics of the job. So it wasn't a normal software development gig, but we also had this very critical service that we needed to keep up. But when I joined this team, we are encouraged to use all these AI tools, because we have a relatively small team. Some people think that we have a very big team that's behind this product, and we have all the resources in the world. The reality isn't that. But now I've had the experience and the opportunity to try how do these tools work. Okay, what can ChatGPT do? Or this Microsoft's GitHub Copilot, how useful is it? Does it integrate well with my existing tools? Or do I need to use it completely differently? And then one of my teammates is using a cursor a lot and trying to make his life easier. And then I started seeing that, okay, during this time that I've observed this in the sidelines, I have only read other engineers experiences, what works, what doesn't, but I haven't tried things hands-on. But now I'm seeing this firsthand, that in some scenarios these tools can actually make your life quite a lot easier, and you can make some things that you could not build before, and you can automate away a lot of the boring stuff that usually just it's not something that maybe you want to spend your time on. and I've had the opportunity to try these tools. So right now I'm trying Claude Code and seeing what it can do. And sometimes the results are like genuinely, it feels like magic. And sometimes it's like it puts up something that I'm just looking at and wondering like, okay, how did it get to this this weird situation? Like, why is it making things up? So I'm seeing a lot of the potential there, and I'm integrating it more and more into my day-to-day work. Like, I really like this idea that I can have this so-called magical tool work in the background while I'm focusing on reviewing my coworker's code, for example. So I can just put in all the details, put in all the context. Okay, I want this, and these are all the requirements. I let it do its thing, and at the same time, I'm maybe, I don't know, going to take another cup of coffee. So I'm seeing the potential and also the pitfalls. But overall, this phase of experimentation has been really fun for whatever reason. Like, I'm feeling excited about technology. I mean, I haven't had this level of excitement in such a long time. So it's kind of like being a junior engineer again in some ways.
Okay. I understand you share your observations with the wider audiences as well. So you are quite an active blogger, apparently. So how's that going for you?
I mean, that seems to be going quite well. I mean, it started in 2020. A lot of people know what was going on back then. So suddenly a lot of free time, a lot of time indoors. But I have been writing that as a hobby, mainly because it is mostly about my hobbies and like some relatively stupid experiments that I learn surprisingly a lot about. And it's just, I try to keep like this unofficial goal of like 2 posts a month, just so that I don't have it as a project that's just like sitting there languishing. And I am passionate about technology. I like self-hosting things. I have a home server, and I like writing about all these experiences and ideas that I have. Sometimes those ideas can be pretty good. Sometimes they're utter failures. But even then, I try to write about it, and turns out that some people even like that writing. So I think that's a really positive surprise, and it keeps me like engaged and motivated to keep going with this. And I think for me, it's a really good outlet to share things that I have also learned.
Any hot topics or issues that are trending particularly well at the moment?
Trending? Well, not on my blog recently, because, if you go to my blog right now and you look for AI, you won't find like too many mentions of it, because it's like, I try to keep it like as a safe space for myself. Like I can write about anything I want, and it doesn't have to be about trendy topics necessarily. And it's 0% AI there, so that's where I draw the line, because it's a personal passion project. It's like art or writing for some. If you're like using tools to automate it away, you're automating the fun away. But at work, it's like a different story.
Of course it is. Well, anyways, let's make sure that we keep the work part fun and we get to enjoy the rest of the life as well. But thank you very much for joining us here today, and wish you very best. And we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to read about the blog, then Õunapuu.ee or Õunapuu.ee works. So
that's OUNAPUU.ee.
It's like apple tree in Estonian.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll speak again soon. All the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to Koodcast. We hope you enjoyed today's show, and please make sure to visit Kood's website for further reading and other episodes. Remember, it's kood.tech. Once again, kood.tech. Be seeing you